Good afternoon, honorable members. Honorable members, when the business of this House suspended for the luncheon break, the honorable member for Carmichael had reserved the floor. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, it is my humble duty and joy to be able to follow a very, very powerful contribution by the member for Bamboo Town and our outstanding Minister of Health this morning. Speaker, I rise to support this budget with a thankful heart. First and foremost, sir, I thank the Bahamian people for their prayers and their encouragement. So many times when I feel tired, discouraged, I get one of those messages that exhort me to hold my head up because I'm doing the right thing. So I thank all of those discerning prayer warriors who stand in the gap for me, and who pray unceasingly for our nation. They're the people who have put us here. They rely upon us to serve with integrity and to provide leadership for the country. In that respect, sir, I send a special shout out to Ms. Rosina Hasty and Clara Cooper. Thank you for the prayers. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, I give thanks that I've been fully vaccinated. I was able to get a little miniature card at Apex, so I want to thank Tonya. This is like a little credit card. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity, and I encourage every Bahamian to get vaccinated. It's free, and the demand is rising once again, sir. Speaker, I know that some people are afraid because of the misinformation on the internet. But after seeing people struggle to breathe on ventilators, and after seeing people die from COVID, I'm happy that I chose to get vaccinated. Speaker, I chose life, and I encourage everyone to do likewise. The truth of the matter says the country needs to fully open up. Tourists have begun to return in large numbers. In fact, I looked at airfares to Miami on Saturday afternoon, and one of the major carriers was charging over $2,000 just for a round trip to Miami. And Mr. Speaker, the message is that the Bahamas is a hot destination once again. We are the place to be. So the revenue projections in this budget are right on target, sir. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, Public Health England has recently published a report which is Annex 1 to my contribution. I will table it at the end. It indicates that the AstraZeneca vaccine that we have is 92% effective against the very dangerous Delta variant of the coronavirus that developed in India. The Minister of Health spoke about that this morning. As more tourists come, Mr. Speaker, we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our children, our family members, and our friends. And so I urge all Bahamians to do their patriotic duty and vaccinate. Speaker, I would be remiss if I did not publicly give thanks for the lives of some who are no longer with us. The last two memorial services I attended were for Truett Simmons of Iguana Way in Carmichael and Bishop Renard Davis. Both have similar stories. Mr. Simmons attended the all-age school in Millers, Long Island. That's a story that many of us have. And Bishop Davis did the same in Andros. They both came to Nassau and eventually became exceptional educators before moving on with their careers. Both of them touched thousands of lives, Mr. Speaker. It is on the legacies of people like Bishop Leonard Davis and Gertrude Simmons that we hope for a better Bahamas. I offer condolences to the Simmons family and to the Davis family, especially Bishop Ross Davis and Apostle Lee Watson. I also offer my condolences to the families of Deborah Wilson and Anthony Keith Taylor of Flamingo Gardens, as well as the Porters of Freight Avenue, retired senior nursing officer Thelma Veronica Kemp Rose from Golden Gates number 2. Speaker, this morning I was informed that we lost Cedric Saunders, who was a great Bahamian. I want to offer my prayers, extend my prayers to my friend Donette Morse in Flamingo Gardens, who lost her dear husband Michael on Monday. Mrs. Patricia Brown, who lost her husband Arthur Brown on Monday. Speaker, those of us who remember a few years ago, Arthur Brown pulled off what many of us thought was impossible when he built the extension to the S.C. McPherson Junior High School during the summer break. Speaker, I pay special tribute to Aunt Jane, my late mother's good buddy. They were members of a special class of educators who gave much to this country. I can see the two of them now, holding evening classes for the angels. Please permit me, sir, to close this portion of my contribution by remembering my good friend, Peter Macaroni Gilbert. Speaker, some of you know that I worked as a busboy, bread loader, other humble jobs. I didn't get to be a lawyer overnight. When I graduated from high school, I couldn't find a job. My parents couldn't afford to send me to college. And eventually got a college education because of track and field. In my desperation to find employment, I answered an ad in the newspapers. And I accepted a commission-only job. That was my first job at high school. No salary. At the same time, Peter had returned home from Minnesota, and Peter accepted the same job. So he and I worked together as a team. We walked the streets, Mr. Speaker, every day, all day long, trying to sell an unsellable product. We did that for months before we quit. And between the two of us made about $100. But that experience was a learning one for me. Peter talked all day, every day about his experiences, and that fascinated me. He had his line where he introduced himself to all the women as Sweet Pete, and to the man as the Cud. He kept me entertained so much, I almost forgot we were not making any money. Those weeks that Peter taught me some valuable lessons. It also created a permanent bond between us. It lasted until his death. Even though we did not see each other frequently, every now and again we'd contact him. Give me a few pointers. So, Mr. Speaker, I cherish those memories, advice, and the friendship. And I take those lessons with me everywhere I go. Rest in peace, Sweet Pete. Mr. Speaker, I give thanks for you and the role that you play in our parliamentary democracy. I give thanks to honorable members, government and opposition. You all have a role to play to ensure that our precious democracy survives and thrives. I give thanks to the most honorable Prime Minister and the wisdom, compassion, and discernment that were conferred upon him to lead this country of ours through the most challenging time that any of us have ever faced. Speaker, after all of the wonderful achievements of this government under this Prime Minister, there's no excuse not to rock with Doc again. Thank you, Doc. I'm rocking with you.
Rock with Doc. This morning. That was an invitation.
Speaker, I give thanks that by God's grace, we're all still here. Through the storms, fears, and uncertainty of the strongest Atlantic hurricane in history and the worst pandemic in a century, every member of this honorable house is still standing. We've been truly blessed. Speak of the fact that we've been blessed with life, when there are those of us who were close to us did not make it, confirms that there's special plans for all of our lives.
Yeah.
Pine Ridge and Golden Isles, some of us are going back to preaching full time. Exuma, some of us will be running our businesses full time. Angliston, some of us will be returning to the family law firm full time. Cat Island, some of us will be happily retired. Mangrove Key, I'm gonna have to postpone our fishing trip because I plan to be back here with Doc in his second term. Speaker, I now turn to my beloved Carmichael. Speaker, by God's grace and by the will of the good people of Carmichael, when I speak in the next budget debate in 2022, it will be as an elected member of the second minute administration. So please permit me to focus a little on my time by speaking directly to the people of Carmichael. I begin by wishing Jennifer Clare belated blessed birthday yesterday. I was supposed to speak yesterday and wish her birthday, happy birthday. I have an outstanding team in Carmichael, Mr. Speaker. They know what it means to serve, and they work closely together to really make a difference. I wish that I had more time to spend with them, but the service that I have to give to the country often requires me to be in different places all the time. So we have not been able to walk as much as I would like to, especially since we're in a pandemic. However, Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that Carmichael is still rocking with Doc. Mr. Speaker, I have a 9-year-old on my team, youngest campaigner ever on my team. Her name is Tai. From the time I met Tai, she tells everyone that she meets that she's rocking with Doc. Her grandmother, who lives in Carmichael, tells me that she's been voting for them other people all her life. But Tai is working hard and convincing her to vote FNF. So thank you, Tai. And Grammy, please listen to Tai. Speaker, I owe a debt of gratitude to the residents of Carmichael. They've elected me to make a difference, and I've worked every day the past 4 years to live up to my commitments to them. And every day I try to find a new way to help improve my Carmichael community. During the past 4 years, Sir, Carmichael has seen unparalleled growth and development. And I only need to recite a few. 1, every classroom and office at the Sir Gerald Cash Primary School is now fully air conditioned. And even though as a result of the pandemic, students have not been able to use the air conditioning, we know that once the pandemic is behind us, the comfort that the AC brings to students will enable them and their teachers to perform at their best in the classroom. Those of you who are watching at home, you'll see what our classrooms look like at Gerald Cash. 2, thanks to Minister Campbell, we now have an urban renewal center in the heart of Flamingo Gardens, ably staffed by persons who are committed to serving the community. 3, the Family Life Center next to Sir Gerald Cash Primary School has been completely and professionally renovated at a cost of $203,350.98. And if you're watching on TV, you'll see a photo of the Family Life Center. Those are contributions we are making in Carmichael. 4, as I promised during the 2017 debate, the formerly dilapidated park on Fate Avenue It's now completely renovated with protective walls, exercise equipment, a walking track, and even grilling equipment. It's a wonderful place for family recreation. 5. The Phil Smith Park in Bel Air is currently being completely renovated. Dozens of truckloads of garbage have been removed, protective walls and lights have been installed, just as I promised in 2017. 6. Park at the Mermaid Pool in Somerset now has the longest walking trail in the country, together with brand new tennis court, 2 pavilions, soccer and football facilities, basketball courts. There are lights on one side of the park, and as soon as I get the next installment of my constituency allowance, we'll be installing lights on the Somerset side. Speaker, hundreds of people use that park on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And I hope that the Prime Minister will agree to participate in the park's rededication soon. That's another promise kept. And if you're watching on TV, you'll see a photograph of the Mermaid Park now. It's an exceptional place to be. 7. Silvergates now has a very special park, as you all know. People come from all over the island to enjoy the rubberized walking trail and exercise stations, the tennis and basketball court, the pavilion, and the Wi-Fi. And you can see a photo of Silvergates Park. We've paved. I don't know where the member for Cat Island was when he said we didn't do any roads, but I'm going to start talking about hundreds of roads today. We paved Cradle Drive, Emerald Gardens, Asphalt Street, Silver Close, Donahue Terrace, Bell, Talk Avenue, Black Coast. I could go on and on about the roads we paved in Carmichael this week, but I won't do that. All over Carmichael. 9, Mr. Speaker, our commitment as we've gone door to door in the community has been to provide food vouchers to thousands of Carmichael residents, and at the same time to support small businesses in Carmichael, the community. And I thank my friends who have helped me find the funds to be able to do that at this time. Speaker, those are some of our achievements in Carmichael. It has been and continues to be my honor to serve the Carmichael community. And I remain grateful for the opportunity, whether it continues through 2022 or 2027. No matter how long or how short my tenure may be, Mr. Speaker, I am extremely proud that Cabinet has agreed to provide funding to combat the flooding challenges that afflicts Bel Air every year. Speaker, for 20 years, I've received successive governments for funding to deal decisively with the flooding challenge. Bel Air is a community with an extremely high water table. Whenever we enter the rainy season, many houses on Turtle Drive and on Bell Dock Road are flooded. Time and time again, residents have lost furniture and suffered tremendous damage. We've paved Turtle Drive and raised Bell Dock Road, but the problem persists. We've drilled new wells, deepened existing wells. When tide gets high, those wells only spill water out in the community. Speaker, last week's flooding downtown and the challenges in Pinewood, South Beach, and elsewhere reminds us that this flooding challenge is a national in nature. In a previous debate, I spoke about the fact that downtown Nassau sits in the middle of a bowl, with rising water levels resulting from climate change and old, outdated drainage systems. New solutions had to be considered. Moreover, it did not help that drainage grills were stolen from all over New Providence this past year. I guess to be sold as scrap metal. Yeah. The ministry has replaced many of these grills, but that type of crime exacerbates our challenges. Very well. We recognize that a new high-tech solution is required, so our engineers got to work on the problem. The Cabinet has now allocated $1,994,153.90 for us to install a drainage system. And if you're watching on TV, you'll see the pictures. It's called the Aqua Storm Brick System in Bel Air. This will be a trial for the entire country. We also intend to select another trial site in Pinewood Gardens. And the government has allocated $2 million for the trial site in Pinewood Gardens. And that video, as I indicated, should be showing now. Mr. Speaker, the trial process will take some time and a considerable amount of patience. It will take almost a year to install the system, and once it is installed, you will have to monitor the results. However, once the trial period has been completed, Mr. Speaker, we intend to roll that system out nationally over a period of several years. Mr. Speaker, it is my firm conviction when I leave Carmichael, the drainage problem that has plagued Bel Air community since its inception will be no more. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for being so good to Carmichael. I can assure you, sir, once again, there's no question that Carmichael will be rocking the top whenever you ring the bell. Speaker, I now turn to the budget. Sir, this annual exercise is one of the great hallmarks of our thriving democracy. It is one of the reasons why the Bahamas is, in fact, one of the world's great democracies, despite the small size of our population. There's a time when the government publicly and transparently shows the country and the world what it has spent, how it has spent it, people's money, and what it plans to spend in the upcoming year. We all have our roles, Mr. Speaker. You as the arbiter of disputes, and dissenting voices are free to speak as they wish, so their voices can be heard. Speaker, we must also take our pride in our ability to freely participate in this process that is not permitted in many countries around the world. I'm certainly grateful to have had the opportunity. This year, we presented a budget that faces the stark reality of an international recession and an international pandemic. We on this side have referred to it as a plan for growth. This is the budget that the government firmly believes will accelerate the recovery of our economy. Despite the rhetoric of the debate, it is a budget that every loyal patriotic citizen will support. If you vote against the national budget without having presented an alternative budget, line for line, you have zero credibility, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, while we may not agree with the best way to achieve them, no member of this parliament can honestly disagree with the core pillars of fiscal responsibility, job creation, small business development, healthcare improvement, and vaccinations, tourism development, public and private sector investment, and digitalization and innovation. And Mr. Speaker, no reasonable person will disagree with the fact that the government has been fiscally responsible, so much so that it took the two worst disasters in our history to set us back from achieving a balanced budget during his first minister's administration. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge all Bahamians to take a serious look at this plan for growth and to support it. That might look like someone else, but that's not him. I could guarantee you that's not him. And to ensure that our beloved Bahama land returns to the international place of prominence that we all know it should hold. I now turn to the boards that I'm responsible for. Mr. Speaker, my portfolio indicates that I have responsibility for relations with Bahamex and 7 boards: Town Planning Board, Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, Water and Sewage Corporation Board, Straw Market Authority, the Bridge Authority, and the BEC and BPL boards. I want to briefly discuss the progress made in these areas this year. With the exception of the Town Planning Boards and the Water and Sewage Corporation Board, which has been more than adequately covered by the Honorable Member for Long Island. Thank you, Long Island. In the process, I offer special thanks to Mr. Pericles Mealis for his stellar service as chair of the Appeal Board. I'll start with the Bridge Authority. I thank Mr. Gregory Bonamy and his board for their outstanding leadership in very challenging times. COVID-19 pandemic upended all plans for 2020. For most of the first quarter of 2020, operations were quite normal. but everything changed from March 22nd onwards. Nevertheless, Bridge Authority managed to complete a few maintenance initiatives from July onwards. They installed jersey walls around the piers of the Eastern Bridge on Portersky. On the Portersky side, they repaired the asphalt paving for the approach of the toll plaza. They repaired the asphalt paving on the underpass of the Eastern Bridge at the Paradise Island end. They took over the landscaping of the curbside to the bridges and the toll plaza environs once assumed by Atlantis. They effected emergency repairs to the toll plaza, canopy columns. They constructed a retaining wall to prevent soil runoff from the landscaping of the Eastern Bridge bulkhead. They improved signage and markings along strategic points on each bridgeway and waterway. Certain projects that were planned for 2020 were not undertaken or not completed due to COVID. They will be carried forward and will be attempted again in 2021, Mr. Speaker. And those multitudes of projects that are currently in progress will continue. Our bridges closed for a considerable period during the pandemic, so all financial indicators except for income from interest will show decreases in income for 2020. Speaker, I now turn to Bahamex. And as I turn to Bahamex, Mr. Speaker, as I indicated to you previously, when I finish today, I'm going to table a list of dozens of roads in New Providence that were paved. So I'm not sure what the member for Cat Island was speaking about when he criticized us for no new roads. Speaker, since July 2020, Bahamex has produced 24,181.69 tons of asphalt and to pave so many roads that would take forever for me to mention them. So I've attached a list to my Annex 2 of my contribution. There's an ongoing improvement of the Bahamex compound, the completion and construction of the foundation for the new state-of-the-art Aztec manufacturing asphalt plant. That's the Rolls-Royce of asphalt plant. It is known as the best asphalt plant in the world. And this government, this FNM government has made sure that we have it in the Bahamas. Construction of that asphalt plant foundation is now 90% complete and is scheduled to be completed by July 2021. Bahamex anticipates it will be commissioned by December of this year, which will greatly enhance efficiency, and we will even pave more roads during the second Minister's administration. Speaker, I turn to the Straw Market Authority. We are indebted to Ms. Kelly Ingram and her dedicated board for their exemplary service to the country. The straw market was closed on 20th of March 2020 in accordance with the provisions of the emergency orders. It will be reopened in accordance with the medical and legal advice, which indicates when it is safe to do so. Vendors will be fully consulted as their impact is severely curtailed by closure. The authority has sought to assist in these difficult times by providing Thanksgiving and Easter food vouchers to vendors, totaling $67,305 to assist during the pandemic, donating other food vouchers to 2020 registered vendors in November 2020, and donating vendors vouchers to the 2021 registered vendors. The fire alarm and sprinkler system and the electrical system issues at the Bay Street Straw Market have been addressed. And the market, Mr. Speaker, nobody will disagree. The market has now been painted in the most beautiful colors, and the SMA is working on further painting upgrades for other straw markets. Electrical issues at the Paradise Island Straw Market are also being addressed, and the process of regularizing employees and updating the handbook has been started. Mr. Speaker, there are some legacy issues that I must address. They speak of irresponsibility of the board under the former administration. NIB, from April 2015 to December 2017, Straw Market Authority failed to make any of its required national insurance contributions. The SMA's legacy debt to NIB as of the 19th of March 2019 was $184,065.08. And outstanding contributions plus $15,737.25 interest. Speaker, all I'm going to say to you is that that debt has now been paid in full by this board. Speaker, when this board was appointed in September 2017, the Straw Market Authority owed BPL $139,463.67. Speaker, that bill to BPL has now been retired in full. Mr. Speaker, unlike members opposite, this F&M government does not merely talk about fiscal responsibility in governance. We are. Speaker, when we were elected by September 2017, the board of the Straw Market Authority owed the Water and Sewage Corporation $58,518.71. That debt has now been retired in full, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, we don't really talk about fiscal responsibility in governance. We act. Bahamas Telecommunications Corporation. September 2017, the board met the Straw Market Authority with a debt of $112,319.35 to BTC. Now listen to this, $45,935.63 for board member cell phone charges, plus $66,383.72 in landline charges. Speaker, the Straw Market Authority has now paid that bill in full and has canceled cell phones. We don't just talk about fiscal responsibility. We act. Speaker, the Straw Market Authority has had no revenue since the close of the markets due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The budget expenses for 2020 were $1,280,185.60. And the actual expenses were $957,682.98, being a decrease of 25%. The net loss of the Straw Market Authority for 2020 was $777,147.98. Speaker, I'm not supposed to say this, Mr. Speaker, but for the first time now, the Straw Market Authority actually has money in the bank. The Minister of Finance was not supposed to hear that. Speaker. Speaker, on the 4th of January 2019, a vendor filed a lawsuit which has been the subject of discussion, and the writ was actually tabled in this honorable house by the member of Angleson. On the 7th of April 2021, the Supreme Court ordered, and I quote, the action against the second defendant, Kelly Ingram, is struck out on the grounds that the second defendant has been improperly and unnecessarily made a party to the action, and the writ of summons filed on the 4th of January 2019 discloses no reasonable cause of action against the second defendant, and that the plaintiff pay the second defendant's cost for the application in the sum of $4,500 on or before the 30th of June 2021. Also, sir, in order that the action will continue solely against the Straw Market Authority, so Kelly Ingram, the Attorney General, the Minister of Works are no longer defendants. I want to thank Chairman Ingram for her stellar service, and I hope that she gets the money that's owed to her, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to now speak a little on DPL. Not a little. I'm going to speak a lot on DPL, so please forgive me. When we were elected, Mr. Speaker, we tabled a secret report in this place that members opposite had paid almost $1 million for. The report shows the terrible condition that our electrical infrastructure was in, yet it was hidden from the Bahamian public, and the report was marked confidential. That report showed our electrical infrastructure was ancient, poorly maintained, inefficient, and inadequate for our needs, and badly in need of replacement. Yet the report was hidden from the Bahamian people. So much for transparency under them, Mr. Speaker. And the Bahamian people paid for it. At the same time, sir, the price of electricity was exorbitant. And every year the country was plagued with load shedding throughout the summer. Worse yet, Mr. Speaker, members opposite can't tell you anything that they did about the problem, except bring a team of foreigners in, put the foreigners in charge of the Bahamians, and paid those foreigners a heap of money. Speaker, this F&M government changed that. We put Bahamians in charge of our national utilities. You see, Mr. Speaker, the F&M doesn't just speak about Bahamianization. We are the party that truly believes in Bahamians. Speaker, looking back, BPL's challenges made my first year in office a most miserable experience. Load shedding was a daily experience. Load shedding was, however, thanks to Chairman Dr. Donovan Moxey, CEO Whitney Hasty, and the current board of directors, BPL has been completely turned around. Speaker, I remember us coming in here and not being able to have our old sessions, have the delay time, and the generator wasn't working. We're in the middle of June now. Average daily temperatures of 87 degrees, and we've not had a single incident of load shedding in almost 2 years. Nassau, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, while there's been no load shedding, we have had some outages in recent times. Some have been caused by challenging weather events. Some have been caused by careless drivers knocking down power poles. Outages over the past 2 days were caused by the unfortunate fire on Monday night. And quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, others were caused by human error. Speaker, EPL is working to improve its transmission and distribution capabilities to decrease the number of outages. And they know that I expect that appropriate action will be taken when outages are caused as a result of human error. Speaker, in addition to the elimination of load shedding, as a result of a deliberate hedging strategy, Exuma, your power bills are lower than you could ever remember. Speaker, the new board of BPL, the new board of directors of BPL touted the power to prosper. You won't get no votes in Black Point. Don't worry about that. You don't have one vote there. Speaker, the new board of directors of BPL, and I have some good news for Black Point today. So you just wait. Speaker, the new board of directors of BPL touted power to prosper. The BPL strategic plan for 2020 to 2025, and how it would address the aging and severely weakened generation fleet in the transmission and distribution grid that was so badly in need of investment. And while the board is still working diligently to close rate reduction bond, Mr. Speaker, I can say that we have seen and experienced the positive results of Power to Prosper. It is working, Mr. Speaker. The plan has 5 pillars. They are: first, safety.
Number one.
The safety of customers and employees is of paramount importance.
That's right.
Secondly, customers. BPL will focus on providing the best possible service at the lowest possible cost. 3, people and employees. BPL will develop capacity so that the organization and customers benefit from a well-trained, focused, and productive workforce. 4, asset management. BPL will acquire the right assets for our environment, grow and maintain those assets so that we can provide reliable electricity and other services to customers at the lowest possible cost. 5, financials. BPL will manage its finances so that the company will be able to consistently collect the revenue that is due and will generate annual returns that will enable it to continually invest in its people, processes, and assets in order to provide the best possible service at the lowest possible cost to our customers. Speaker, BPL has entered a new phase of forward momentum, building on the beginnings of a turnaround in management of its generation fleet and an ongoing improvement in our customer service. The company has consolidated the gains carved out in the first year of its operation under the guidance of Power to Prosper, the BPL strategic plan for 2020 to 2025. While the former administration brought foreigners to operate BPL, this administration showed it had confidence in Bahamians. Now the entirety of the board of directors, they had foreigners on the board of directors. The executive committee is 100% Bahamian. And the conclusive, verifiable, and undoubtable advances made under this leadership team have been led by Bahamians. Given the state that we met BPL in, only a well thought out strategic plan could set the company on the right path. And this has been done, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, BPL is now marching forward with a complete digital transformation plan, inculcating technology, training and development, and an appetite for consistent improvements in customer service into the fabric of its operations. BPL has now turned its attention to improving the transmission and distribution network by upgrading its communication lines from copper to fiber optic so that faults impacting the transmission and distribution network will be cleared more quickly, resulting in reduction of forced outages to customers and will lessen the damage impact to equipment. The improvement in fiber communications will improve BPL's ability to remotely address outage incidents without the need to deploy operators to field operations. In this way, the duration of outage to customers can be significantly lessened. Speaker, digital transformation includes BPL's new generation control center and a new call center, which allow for improvements in customer service. I want to just talk briefly about strategic gains, Mr. Speaker. The turnaround and righting of BPL is well underway. Our goal is to build self-sustaining utility that is capable of meeting the growing power infrastructure needs of the country. As additional islands are developed throughout the country, we must have reliability. And in this respect, I want to say that the System Average Interruption Duration Index is called the SAIDI, which is an industry standard reliability indicator for electricity utilities. And it measures the average outage duration per customer served. That is measured in units of time, which usually minutes or hours. BPL measures it in minutes. BPL has demonstrated a consistent and remarkable improvement in reliability on the SAIDI index. So far this year, BPL is consistently and significantly under the target duration set for each month. This year, the outages our customers had to endure were on average far shorter than anticipated. And Mr. Speaker, I provided the chart in my contribution. So anyone who gets it, when you get it, you'll be able to see what I'm speaking about. Speaker, there's also the System Average Interruption Frequency Index. That's another commonly used reliability indicator. The SAFI is the average number of interruptions that a customer would experience and is measured in units of interruption per customer. It's usually measured over the course of a year. Here again, BPL has demonstrated a consistent improvement. So far for the year, our customers have experienced a far smaller number of outages than expected. And Mr. Speaker, the chart for the SAFI is also here for everybody to see. Speaker, another verifiable metric demonstrating the improvements of BPL is the comparison of feeder trips. Feeders are the distribution circuits that supply power to one or more, usually more neighborhoods. The drastic reduction in the feeder trip year over year testifies to the appropriateness of the steps that BPL has taken. And again, Mr. Speaker, I have a chart showing the feeder trips have decreased over time. Speaker, before I move on, while I applaud BPL for these stellar achievements, I want to admonish our people about driving habits that have demolished power poles and thereby caused power outages. In recent weeks, we've also seen power outages as a result of the weather, as I indicated before, other challenges. And as I indicated previously, I have advised BPL what appropriate action to take where outages are caused by human error. I want to speak a little bit about generation of BPL, Mr. Speaker. BPL was pleased to celebrate the inauguration of its new generation control center. It began operations in January of this year. The GCC brings control of 100% of BPL's assets, generating assets on New Providence, into the same physical space for the first time ever, heralding an unprecedented era of synergy between system control and the generating team. This will significantly increase efficiency of fleet management and allow for exponentially faster reaction to generation-related issues in the system. The GCC will be key in speeding up the time in which BPL is able to restore units, the ability of operators to keep the units available and keep them reliable. Operators from Blue Hills Power Plant, Station B at Clifton Pier Power Plant, Station A, Watzilla, the Clifton Pier Power Plant, and Big Pond are now all located in the same room, permitting the broader impact of new technology, including the widening of the SCADA, the supervisory control and data acquisition. Let me just speak about maintenance and repairs. Speaker, one of the things that you will notice if you look at the report that I spoke about with members, the confidential report that we had at the table here, was the poor maintenance that happened at BPL under the administration. The lower load requirements during winter allow for planned maintenance and repairs of generation assets, with the aim to have all repairs and maintenance done in time for May. The teams at both Clifton Pier Power Station and Blue Hills Power Station were extremely busy. A major support project is also underway at Clifton Pier, aimed at creating new fuel treatment systems for the engines at Station A. Station A plus Station D will eventually be the base load generation for New Providence. It will supply 70% of the power to this island. So that project ensures the ability to maintain reliability of fuel supply independent of Station B or other factors. Meanwhile, at Blue Hills, we have 3 engines, GT7, 8, and 9, that are all now in service, with maintenance and repairs ongoing on the remaining units. In addition, the new Sun Oil 16 megawatts facility is online and generating power to the grid. Speaker, on this generation issue, I'm aware of the challenges that BPL has experienced in a number of family islands, including Black Point and Saniel Key Zoma. I want to ensure those communities that BPL is working on those challenges. In fact, new generators are on their way now. We expect that they will get relief soon, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I want to touch on summer readiness. Altogether, Mr. Speaker, we can safely account for a minimum of between 315 and 350 megawatts across the summer. Speaker, just for the benefit of Exuma, who's an astute businessman, we can safely account for a minimum of between 315 and 350 megawatts of summer against an expected summer peak load of 250 megawatts. The highest, for reference, sir, the highest recorded peak reached in the Bahamas is 248 megawatts. And that means we should have almost from 60 to 100 megawatts of redundancy. So, Mr. Speaker, and that was in 2017. So, Mr. Speaker, we feel confident that there will be no load shedding this summer. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak a little about the future and some other minor topics on the BPL. Mr. Speaker, our intention remains, and I want to repeat this, our intention remains that Bahamian investors will have equity ownership in the energy sector going forward. BPL expects to break ground on a new station sometime this year, depending on the successful rate reduction bond offering. And I will speak more on this topic on another occasion, but I want to get our people ready to be able to invest their money. Speaker, small scale renewable generation program continued this year with level of activity increased from previous years. There were 155 applications received during 2019, 18 systems completed in the application process and passed their functional tests. 99 applications were received during 2020, 51 systems completed the application process and passed their functional tests. More and more people, Mr. Speaker, are going solar. Current active capacity of the SSRG program is 4,007 kilowatts, excluding over yonder key. ERCA accepted BPL's 5-year renewable plan, along with other technical and commercial documentation, to support larger scale private installations, along with utility scale installations. The company is now working on financial and technical approaches to achieve that goal. After delays caused by Dorian and COVID-19, the installation of the microgrid in Ragged Island is now complete. It will soon be going through its final commissioning stages. Ragged Island is scheduled for commissioning this coming August.
Stay tuned, Exuma.
Speaker, 5 projects are in development. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we did it 2 years ago. We started 2 years ago. Members opposite started none. Mr. Speaker, 5 projects in development for the island of Abaco that will provide the ability to inject renewable energy into the grid, as well as provide a resilient alternative energy supply to critical installations. BPL has embarked on the development of 2 microgrid projects in Abaco, the hospital and the government complex in Marsh Harbor, and the Cooperstown Clinic. With respect to the Dorian restoration, with the recent restoration energizing of Red Bays, every single community on mainland Abaco either has power or access to power, Mr. Speaker. Our work on the island continues to advance. To begin with, we concentrated on restoring the distribution system first, which is effectively mostly rebuilt, allowing the reconnection of all customers on the mainland who are ready to be reconnected. We're now in process of rebuilding the transmission network on the island, building in increased resiliency and efficiency with the new use of the new ductile metal pole. Mr. Speaker, you should see these poles in Abaco. I've never seen poles like this in my life. They are the most durable, resilient poles I've ever seen. They are no, Mr. Speaker, they are amazing poles that BPL has put in Abaco. Speaker, those poles and other technological advances, adding redundant lines and SCADA, supervisory control and data acquisition, remote control, With respect to the Abaco Keys, power is present on the entire northern loop. That's Matlows, Manawar, Dickies, and Guanakee, etc. The dedicated line that feeds Elbow Key and the nearby keys from the main line needs to be replaced. And we are working with the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection to advance that project, as well as the reconnection of the southern loop, which is Pillow and Lovers Key, etc. Innovations. Speaker, BAPL is excited about a number of innovations that you will hear about shortly. Among them, imminent access to distributed battery energy storage system in New Providence. BESS will complement and supplement BPL's primary generation systems by helping the company respond to voltage spikes and sites, and as an alternative to generators to provide uninterrupted power supply during outages of other sources. The vendors have been selected and the board has approved the IDB funded project. 2, the imminent launch, and Freetown, you will love this, the imminent launch of the VPL ATM at Mall at Marathon. And 3, the development of the My BPL customer engagement app. And 4, the advanced metering infrastructure. Speaker, just a little bit more to say about BPL. I want to speak about customer service. Speaker, BPL does not want a single customer to be disconnected. To this end, in July 2020, BPL offered disconnected customers an option to be reconnected by paying 25% of an outstanding bill. The balance to be extended over six months. On November 18, 2020, BPL introduced 2 new payment arrangement options. 25%, number 1, 25% payment on outstanding arrears and balance to be spread over 12 months. Number 2, 50% payment on outstanding arrears and balance to be spread over 6 months. Residential customers, interested in either of the payment arrangements, completed and signed a payment request form, and after making the required payment, an arrangement was opened by the customer service representative. The majority of customers requested a 25% down payment with the outstanding balance paid over 12 months. And Mr. Speaker, I would encourage more Bahamians to do that. Payment plans opened in November of last year, November 2020, there were 58. In December, 383. In January of this year, 380. And in February of this year, 468. I encourage Bahamians who have been disconnected or who have challenges to go into BPL. Speaker, to ensure that there was a consistent cash flow as a result of the payment arrangements, BPL changed its disconnection strategy. The disconnection for non-payment of a total delinquent balances over 30 days and over $500. And that commenced in January of this year. And so I want everybody to understand that BPL is trying to work with Bahamians as much as possible, but they still have bills to pay. They have to pay their staff, they have to buy the fuel, they have to keep the operation running. Primary among major customer relations initiatives over the course of the year was a change in meter reading and billing cycle for residential and small commercial customers. The purpose of the change was to put the customer bills in their hands prior to the end of the month. It permits the customer to plan better prior to the average end of the month payday. The other major initiative in customer relations was to transition to a full service call center called BPL 225-5275. The hours of operation were extended from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. during the week and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekends and holidays. Speaker, they don't answer, let me know. Speaker, with respect to customer service over the fiscal year, BPL restructured the customer service division. That restructuring provided us the opportunity to delve into customer service policy reform, to identify training needs, and to facilitate core training sessions. We completed knowledge gap analysis intended to identify and rectify training needs and improve the delivery of extraordinary customer care. The analysis resulted in training sessions on core customer service areas. And so, Mr. Speaker, there's some other things I wanted to say on BPL, but I've already used up an hour of my time. And even though I'm going to ask you to be generous at the end, I want to move on. So, Mr. Speaker, let me move on, Mr. Speaker, to the Ministry of Public Works. Speaker, in my role as the Minister of Works, I'm guided daily by two bosses, Permanent Secretary or Extraordinary, for being Coldbrook, and our workaholic Director of Public Works, Ms. Melanie Roach. They are an incomparable team. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to work with them and to learn from them, even though I'm never able to keep up with the constant flow of the emails and this constant, Mr. Speaker. Nikki, Bianca, and Vaughn see her and put up with my grouchy side every day. There's very few complaints. They see the ups and downs and the challenges of how public service impacts our lives. I'm so very thankful for their patience and understanding. The strangers there early every morning to make my disorganized office comfortable. And I want to say this loud and clear. Cambridge knows that he's in charge of the ministry whenever I am out. I thank them all. The Speaker, I also give thanks for the many, many outstanding professionals who serve tirelessly at the Ministry of Public Works for the betterment of all Bahamians. Speaker, one truism about the Ministry of Public Works is that it is never boring. At every moment of every day, there's something that needs to be fixed somewhere in the Bahamas. We do our best within the budgetary limitations. And for that reason, I'm thankful to the staff of the ministry. I'm thankful, Mr. Speaker, that the staff of the ministry are receiving the highest number of promotions that we have ever had during any year in the history of the ministry. Speaker, so today I'm pleased to celebrate the accomplishments of the Human Resources Unit. Indeed, First Assistant Secretary Mrs. Juliana Brennan and our entire staff must be commended for their hard work and commitment to excellence. 2018 and 2019, having received the approved career path for technical staff of the Northern Compound from the Ministry of Public Service, the Human Resources Unit not only embarked on an extensive promotion exercise, but also ensured that the status of weekly and temporary workers were regularized in the public service. Today, it is a caring government. Today, my ministry sees the results of teamwork and improved productivity. Speaker, I have been advised by none other than the minister responsible for public work, for public service, that the Ministry of Public Works broke all records with respect to promotions. I am advised that to date, 190, you said you did 4 during lunch? Okay, so 194 orders have been completed, 37 were pending, and there are additional public service commission submissions. The total is 306 happy employees when the Ministry of Public Service release the approval letters next month. Thank you, Minister Gould. Speaker, the record was indeed an outstanding accomplishment from the HR unit, and they must be commended. Speaker, we have never attempted anything like that. We are aware, Mr. Speaker, that some staff members of the Northern Compound waited more than 20 years for promotion. And unfortunately, they could not be promoted until the career paths were approved. Fortunately, that task has been successfully completed, and others will not have to wait long after qualifying for their status to be regularized. Speaker, the good news is not limited to the Northern Compound. HR unit also received an approved career path for inspectors. As a result, 21 inspectors have received promotions, and in some cases, double promotions. Those officers would have waited 10 years or more to receive a promotion. Speaker, as the minister, I celebrate with our employees. They are indeed deserving. Whenever anything happens anywhere in this country, the Ministry of Public Works is called on, and we seek to answer promptly. Our employees know that the comfort of the Bahamian public populace depends on their reliability and efficiency, and it's time that promotions reflect their dedication. Speaker, I now move on to building control. And Mr. Speaker, I want to assure you that what I've said has been vetted by our Chief Counsel, and I'm going to be very careful about what I say. Speaker, the building control functions of my ministry have been under increased national scrutiny this year. In this respect, I make 4 preliminary comments. First, this F&M government will always comply with the law. Secondly, I commend the building control officer, Mr. Brent Ferguson, who is a professional engineer. He brings a high level of dedication and integrity to his job. Third, Mr. Speaker, I have made and I am entitled to make, and everyone in democracy is entitled to make, strong comments on a recent Supreme Court ruling. I want to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that my comments are noted as criticism of the judgment and not criticism of the judge. Fourth, sir, matters related to this topic are currently before the court. I will be guided accordingly so that nothing that I say will breach the sub judice rule. Speaker, this is in direct contrast to comments that were made by the honorable member for Pine Ridge during this debate when he said, they want you to forget how they unceremoniously dismissed practically an entire BPL board, and the case is still presently before the court. You ain't got to say nothing, Carmichael. I'm moving on. And the honorable member for Angliston, Mr. Speaker, I have the hand here. Who said, we don't know the outcome of the investigation into the firing of an entire BPL board in the face of concerns raised by that chairman at the time and the certain unethical dealings. You see, the issue to be decided, Mr. Speaker, in that case before the court, is whether there was any dismissal, any firing, or whether there was a resignation. And those 2 statements directly impacted on the issue that the court has to decide. They purported to be factual conclusions on the issues that the court must decide. In the case that was filed against me, Speaker, I don't mind. Because I continue to be guided by desiderata. I speak my truth quietly and clearly. So for the last 2 years, when all kinds of people were throwing shade at me, I only smiled. And now, as far as I'm concerned, the case that they were all talking about should be over. On the 15th of April, the court ordered the parties to file certain documents on or before the 31st of May, 2021. The order said that in default of the parties' pleadings would be dismissed. The plaintiffs defaulted, and so as of 1st of June, 2021.
Honorable member, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Pine Ridge on a point of order.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Normally, I would not want to disturb the honorable member, but even when you mention court in here, the honorable member is the first to rise to speed and say it's before the court and it cannot be discussed. Always. So, but the fact that he's now discussing this, the precedence has been set by the honorable member for Cat Island. If you mention something in court, he rises to his feet and says it's before the court. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure that he should be going down this road explaining to us when the case is, because as far as I know, that case is still before the court, and they're just going to start arguments, I think, in November.
Honorable member.
No, he shouldn't be discussing it, period.
Honorable member, what usually is considered in these matters are any statement that could be prejudicial to the case. And so if you just begin to discuss any material facts that could be prejudicial to the case, then that will be in breach of the sub judice rules. But if you simply read a ruling that is already in the public domain, that was an interlocutory ruling.
Speaker, it's interesting that a member from Pine Ridge knows that that trial was set for November. But Pine Ridge, you've been following. That's interesting. You're gonna have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to be able to watch the trial. You have a lot of time. You don't have to come here at all. You'll be the speaker. Speaker. As I said, Mr. Speaker, the order said that in default of the parties' pleadings, the parties' pleadings would be dismissed. The plaintiffs defaulted. They defaulted. And so as of 1st of June 2021, their twice re-amended statement of claim stands dismissed. There will be no trial. Unless the court extends the time, the court action is at an end. And you can speak as much as you want about it now because it wouldn't be sub judice. Speaker, with that said, let me add that the building control unit of my ministry impacts every one of us. Building control officer is a statutory position. Whenever any of us seek to erect a structure or make significant alterations to any structure, he and his inspectors seek to ensure that they meet the requisite standards for safety, both for the occupier and for the community. If the plumbing, electrical, or structural standards are not met, if they're not met, Mr. Speaker, we could face disaster. The job of the BCO is to ensure that the standards are met by everyone. Speaker, because certain matters will be before the court, I will be circumspect in my comments. However, I can say that the government has taken the position that unregulated communities are dangerous to the health of our people. And as I indicated, these comments have been vetted by Chief Counsel in my ministry. These communities are built on other people's land without their permission. Illegal and dangerous electrical and water hookups are the norm. The sanitation measures are meager or non-existent. And the Speaker, those who are watching at home will see videos of a shantytown in the heart of Carmichael, the heart of my constituency, which pains me because I know the challenges we have as a result of shantytown. Speaker, before the mud was destroyed in Dorian, it was impacted by dangerous fires caused by illegal and unregulated generators. During Dorian, an undetermined number of people were killed in the shanty towns. More shanty towns are being constructed throughout the country every day, and the existing shanty towns continue to grow. Previously, the Supreme Court had issued an injunction that prohibited the government from demolishing existing shanty structures, and also prohibited persons from constructing or adding to these structures.
Honorable member,
Yes, sir.
you're not referring to the current part.
Sorry?
When you said previously,
Yes, there was in the current action, there was a previous injunction which I spoke to in the midterm budget.
okay.
The government realized that persons were building in breach of the injunction at that time and set out to demolish those illegal structures. In accordance with Cabinet's mandate, I led a multi-agency team on a site visit to the farm on Saturday, 6th of February, 2021. The visit revealed the recent proliferation of a thriving community consisting of many unregulated, newly constructed structures extending almost to the Treasure Key Airport, the development of new unauthorized and unpaved roads, sanitary challenges, illegal electrical generators and wiring, illegal water piping, improper water and sewage and waste disposal, and diverse commercial activity, including bar rooms, stores, dance halls. It's clear that the community posed critical sanitary and health challenges that is likely to negatively impact the water table, and among other challenges, through the unregulated utilization of electrical power, via haphazardly strewn power lines, which evidence commercial activity and pose a challenge to the lives of residents. As a result of the site visit, immediate action was taken. The police task force, led by Chief Superintendent Taylor, the OIC in Abaco, and inclusive of representatives from the various government agencies, oversaw the operation. The team of commercial electricians visited each residence on the farm to disconnect and confiscate any generators that were observed. Only the main entrance was permitted as an access route. Further, in accordance with my communication to the House of Assembly on Wednesday, the 14th of March, 2021, and on the authority of the Minister with responsibility for the environment, a total of 45 incomplete and unoccupied structures from the farm shantytown near Treasure Key, Abaco were demolished Thursday, 22nd of April, 2021. On Friday, Saturday, 14th of May, and 15th, 2021, my ministry came accompanied by officers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Department of Immigration, entered the farm shantytown, where an additional 10 structures were demolished. 7 out of the 10 structures were removed, had been previously occupied. The debris from the demolitions have been safely disposed of. Personal and household items from the structures have also been secured. In our continuing efforts during the week of 25th to 28th May, another 20 structures were demolished, all of which were previously occupied with the exception of one structure, which was presently under construction. And persons who are watching on TV can see a video of the demolition as we speak. The Speaker, the court has now issued an injunction prohibiting the demolition of any more structures. And this government will obey that order. I want it clear. We will obey that order. The BCO has sought to uphold the law with respect to all construction in the country. And we await the court's guidance on the shantytown issue. In the interim, I do ask everyone, Mr. Speaker, everyone, every single person, to comply with the provisions of the Building Regulation Act and the Building Code. And I lament reports of the proliferation of continued unregulated construction activity on private property and on crown land throughout the country in shantytown as I speak. Speaker, the member for East Grand Bahama referred briefly. I'm going to move on to my budget. And now I want to just speak about the numbers first. Nationally, please excuse me, I did something my grandmother told me never to do, and that's wash my hair at night when I'm showering. The Speaker, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The Speaker, the member for East Grand Bahama referred briefly to my budget. The capital budget for the Ministry of Public Works this year is $108,424,452. That's $42,673,068 less than last year. So no wonder I missed the number for East Grand Bahama as the Minister of Finance. The Speaker, the Minister of Works always wants more money than he gets. Always. Never saw a Minister of Works that didn't. That's just a fact of life. There's so much to be done. However, Mr. Speaker, I give thanks that we've been able to get a considerable amount of funding for capital works, even as the world is still in a recession and a pandemic. Speaker, that is a tribute to the masterful manner in which the good doc, and I hope you don't mind me calling you doc, the good doc prescribed the appropriate medication to manage our economy in unprecedented times. The Bahamian people trust Dr. Minutes. The Bahamas is rocking with you, doc. Speaker, let me put this in perspective. During the last 14 months, this F&M government spent $25.9 million on COVID-19 public health and safety measures. That investment ensured that our healthcare system and healthcare workers had the support needed to sustain us through the crisis. We spent $118 million in government-funded unemployment assistance. That contribution put cash directly in the hands of unemployed, self-employed Bahamians impacted by the economic downturn. That does not include, and is in addition to, earned benefits that were paid out by NIB under its ordinary unemployment benefits program. We spent $32.8 million in social assistance. That cash injection largely funded the extensive food assistance program supported jointly by the government and the NGOs. It ensured them that the most vulnerable had access to food. We spent $44.4 million in the government's payroll support program. That contribution allowed private businesses to use tax credits to pay their employees, saving approximately 15,000 private sector jobs. We spent $53.3 million in business continuity support for Bahamian entrepreneurs and small businesses. That investment provided hundreds of Bahamian businesses access to grants and government guaranteed loans administered by the SBDC to revive, expand, and jumpstart. You see, Mr. Speaker, the cynics can say whatever they want, but that's an unbudgeted $251.4 million that the People's Caring Government spent to ensure that the Bahamian people could eat and live in dignity during the pandemic. Thank you for caring so deeply, Doc. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful that I have a budget and extremely thankful that there's some money for us to continue our service to the Bahamian people. I want to just speak about our stimulus initiative at the Ministry of Public Works. Speaker, during the height of the pandemic, our government showed how much we care. As a result of hundreds of Bahamians were employed on various initiatives. And so while some others were spreading fables, falsely alleging that we spent $20 million in sidewalks, let me tell you what we really did. First, road markings and sign installations. Many small contracts were issued directly and indirectly to provide much needed relief for the construction industry. Small contractors were engaged for the installation of road markings and traffic signs, which enabled the ministry to address a number of safety issues that were raised by the public. Speaker, the proof of the matter is that road markings and traffic sign installation enhance safety for pedestrians and drivers alike. Restriping and traffic signs are needed more often in both heavily trafficked areas and in family islands, such as crosswalks and stop bars. The ministry will continue its efforts in ensuring that areas that need traffic signs and road markings are addressed with given resources. And virtually every member of this parliament has asked me about crosswalks in their constituencies. Government through the Ministry of Public Works will continue to engage with small contractors because this has provided opportunity for Bahamians to participate in improving the safety of the road network. To our small contractors who did, Speaker, to our small contractors who did the road markings, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, New Providence traffic signs, signals, and upgrades of software. We are existing, this is the second one. We are aware that the existing traffic infrastructure is about 4 decades old. Pipes and components are brittle and expensive to maintain. So we have begun to update and install modern equipment and technology to provide better traffic flow safety and improve travel time. The process includes replacing incandescent bulbs to light the LEDs, which are long-lasting and provide better visibility. Trenching to change all the underground electrical wires and conduits, which are in bad condition. 3, installing new equipment and accessories with modern technology. And we have already completed installations. And Mr. Speaker, there's so many installations, I can't go through them, but I've annexed them at Annex 3. And we anticipate those actions will reduce the exorbitant maintenance cost of traffic signals to the government and improve road safety while decreasing delays to the motoring public and pedestrians. For the small contractors who work on the traffic signal upgrades, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, the sidewalk initiative, the much maligned sidewalk initiative. Speaker, in our continued efforts to keep the pedestrians safe, we've mobilized a number of small contractors mostly to build the number of sidewalks, mostly over the hill. Lest I be falsely accused of political bias, I will admit that the overwhelming majority of the sidewalks were built in Angleton. When it comes to the safety of the Bahamian people, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the safety of the Bahamian people, I don't see colors. I don't see colors. So, Mr. Speaker, to those small contractors who were able to earn some money to feed their families, pay their rent or mortgage, and buy school books for their children in the midst of a pandemic, I want to just say it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. 4, drainage. Speaker, during the pandemic, small contractors have drilled in excess of 100 drainage wells throughout New Providence. As I indicated, sir, the challenges now require us to move on to more high-tech drainage solutions. But in the interim, we have worked to ensure that communities throughout the island get immediate relief, while at the same time benefiting many small contractors. To those small drainage contractors who made some money drilling wells during the pandemic, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, number 5, parks. Speaker, at the beginning of this contribution, I bragged about my parks in Carmichael. However, they're not to be seen in isolation. All over this island, small contractors have been busy at work, turning open spaces into scenic, beautiful, healthy parks. I'm really proud of the work that we've started, and we're committed to continue in order to enhance healthy lifestyles among our people. One of the advices some of the advice that we all obtained during the pandemic is to be outside as much as possible. It is not as easy to catch the virus. Speaker, let me just say I am most excited of all the parks, other than the ones in Carmichael. I'm most excited about the plans that we have for Windsor Park, and I'm sorry that Senator is not here. Windsor Park, Mr. Speaker, for those who know, is also called Dorsey Park. There's a guy who came to the Bahamas in the years, and his name was Dorsey, and he came on that area. Dorsey Park, Windsor Park, is the historic heart of cricket and baseball in the Bahamas. It's where many of our stars, such as Wenty, Eddie, Mario, Keith, Wardy, Andy, Leighton, Kevin, Corey, and Linda Ford, the 10 Ford, developed their athletic skills. Just about all of them played on national teams. Speaker, when we talk about Windsor Park, we're talking about professional sports contracts. We're talking about Del Jane. Those of y'all who are younger wouldn't remember. We're talking about the St. Pauli Girl Barons. We're talking about the Holton Knights. Speaker, when we have finished remodeling Windsor Park, it will be the place to play baseball and cricket over the hill. We are investing in the wholesome development of our children, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, Speaker, Windsor Park is going to have digital scoreboard. It's going to have lights. It's going to have Wi-Fi. It's going to have pavilions. It's going to have changing rooms. The Speaker, East Street and Windsor Lane, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, one challenge that we're bound to face is that since the pandemic, many construction materials are in short supply. Prices fluctuate every day. Building anything at this time is a financial challenge. And so as I go into my budget, I know that some of the cost estimates will increase. Let me talk. I want to talk about what we intend to do. But when you speak about the future, you can't move on to the future unless you remember the past. Speaker, we have to be prudent and utilize our resources properly. This year, we have many projects underway. We wish to continue or to complete. And today I'm going to speak about some of them. time isn't sufficient for me to speak about all. Speaker, let me just say, I never come here to attack anyone. I try to focus on the positive. But sometimes people force me to respond to their outlandish allegations. Speaker, for these 4 years, my solemn pledge has been not to follow members opposite in the manner in which they have betrayed the trust of the Bahamian people. Speaker, lest we forget, they are the ones who committed $30 million of our tax money on a building on Wolf Road. The challenge is the government did not own the land then and does not own the land now that we invested that money in. They went ahead with that building without having so much as a lease on the land. In short, Mr. Speaker, it is exactly what's happening in the shanty towns by constructing a building on someone else's land without the owner's permission. The result,
The chair recognizes honorable member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
Well,
On a point of order.
no, that accusation is near criminal. That's why I stand up. See, you have to stop double speaking and speaking with forked tongue. The Speaker, what he's suggesting is that a construction was started by a government of the Bahamas, which we were the administrators at the time, on land without the permission of the landowners. Without the land owned, without like the shanty towns built without the permission of landowners. Since you talk about lease, lay the lease of the town center mall on the table.
Lay the contract for the building opposite the town center mall, the first post office. That's like old road, silent building,
Cat Island, you serious?
30 million.
Mr. Speaker, I said they don't own the land. Government doesn't own the land. We've invested $30 million in it. Mr. Speaker,
Without the permission of the owner. That's what you said. He said that. You either withdraw that. Without the permission.
No, you don't want it.
But
Honorable members.
Speaker, Speaker, do they have a lease for the land?
No.
So, Mr. Speaker,
You don't own it. No lease. You don't own it. You have no
the
lease.
Queen's Counsel across from me knows that you cannot build on anyone's property unless you have a lease or ownership of it.
that's bullshit.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members.
Tell us about NIGA.
Honorable members.
Tell us about NIGA.
Honorable members. It is the ruling of the chair that the word honorable member for Marathon. Honorable members. It's the ruling of the chair that the word uttered by the member for Cat Island, Ramkin, and Salvador is hereby expunged from the record. While I'm on the matter, the member for Carmichael did indicate in his statement, and drawing reference to the shanty town, that the construction on Wolf Road was initiated without permission. And that is also hereby expunged from the record. Honorable member for Carmichael, you may proceed.
Don't let them rise their temperature.
Speaker.
Oh my God.
Speaker.
Some people don't want you around.
Speaker, this government would like to complete that structure And so if members opposite would help us to find a lease that they sign, or help us show that government owns the land, we'd be very grateful. But there's no lease. There's no lease. Government doesn't own the land.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael. Honorable members, the member for Cat Island, Rumpkins, and Salvador is on a point of order.
Well, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the continual disingenuous spinning by the members opposite is infuriating. The files are with them. The suggestion that there was no lease is connected to his conclusion that the buildings were started without the permission.
Honorable member, I already expunged that.
What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member,
Mr. Speaker.
you're putting something back on the record.
What I'm saying is, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that a lease need not be in writing. I could rent.
$30 million.
Mr. Speaker, I am not.
Honorable members.
Speaker, I am not.
Honorable members.
Speaker, I will not.
Honorable members.
Speaker, I will not.
If we could,
I will not engage. I will not engage these persons in any legal argument. What is a lease or what is not a lease? Right? It's not a lease, right? What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, right? It is one thing. I continue to say in this Parliament, government is about the choices and priorities. We could choose how we enter into our arrangements. They could choose how they enter. Right? He can say there were no lease and he can criticize that. But to carry it for him is disingenuous.
the chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael.
Speaker, let me tell you why the people love Doc so much. He would never spend $30 million of people's money without a written lease.
Honorable members.
No.
The chair, hold on.
Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rumpkins.
First of all, the arrangement with the Seventh-day Adventist Institute, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, it was a public-private partnership. It's similar to the ones that we would have had with the Catholic Church. It's all, the paperwork is documented, it's all there. Right? It's all in the files. They can see the files. Speaker, they're able to discern it because there's something there. It's all in right. There's things in writing on the files. There's a public-private partnership. In fact, and they would have had, now, the Speaker, maybe, but one thing Brave Days would do, wouldn't spend all that 200 million plus on a breakdown hotel to save jobs, not open a finished clinic in San Salvador, right? So that Club Med staff of 400 could have saved their jobs and be open today. That's what Great Bliss would have done.
He signed those oil leases though. He signed all the oil
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael.
Come on.
They have this argument. If you want to live, they have this argument. Come on, mortgage for that property. They have to document the property. Bring it on, Carmichael.
Speaker.
Don't try to put that on the tape. Don't try to put that on the tape. Leave the tape on this. Leave the tape on this. Leave the tape on
The church ain't get the money. The church ain't get the money.
Cat Island, are you on a point of order? Yes. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island.
And to complete my observations on the disingenuity of this member, he is treating, and the Prime Minister is treating with the contractor today in respect to that property.
Let me say this very clearly. Let me say this. This government respects the church. We said nothing about the church. But we're talking about the Bahamians' $30 million. Speaker, the contractor was not involved in anything. He is a good contractor. He is a great contractor. But we're talking about the people. Speaker, let me move on. We have problems with that. Speaker, let me move on. Speaker, I'm going to be asking for some extra time because of this. I hope you're
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Angleston on a point of order.
Speaker. I think, I believe the member is seeking to cast a particular shade on a transaction. This was, I'm being refreshed by the former Minister of Works and the Leader of Opposition. This was
Honorable members, the member for Angleston has the floor.
This must be happy hour in here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this was a public-private partnership between the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is a highly regarded church for its work in terms of social development of this country. It was. I'm being asked by Golden Gates not to bring the church into it, but the church was in it, and they were happy to be in it. Mr. Speaker, I don't know members. I know election coming, and they're trying to create a perception. But we.
The church won the referendum.
Honorable member for Angleston, resume your seat for a moment.
The church won.
Honorable members, honorable members, I've had enough of all of this shouting across the floor and this disruptive behavior, because it is disruptive and it's disrespectful not only to the institution but to each of you who are participating in it. So, from this point forward, anyone who shouts persistently across this floor when the speaker asks them to desist from doing so will be asked to withdraw from this parliament. I'm not tolerating that any further. I gave you a certain liberty because I understand the political environment and the time. But you've gone over the edge now. The chair recognizes Honorable Member for Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I was seeking to represent to you is this. This was a public-private arrangement or partnership between the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is an established, respected, well-known church in this nation that has contributed in education, in healthcare, and in every single way you can imagine. They partnered with the Bahamas government, the government that represents the people of this nation, for the construction of a special school for children that were finding difficulty adjusting in the regular stream of education. And that is where the $30 million went or whatever the figure was. I'm not even sure that, but I'll accept that's the figure. It went towards the construction of a school in this partnership. The representation that somehow the government was this wild berserk entity that went on a people's land as some interlopers or trespassers and threw the people's money away is really beyond disingenuous. It's misleading, and it does not do justice to the government or the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which partnered in this matter for a very noble cause in education. And I asked the member, I understand the political point he's seeking to make, but I asked him, listen, man, you don't control what I say. I asked this member to not persist in this type of, because this came out of the budget. And I believe the church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church issued a statement after that. I invite him not to bring the church into controversy in this very important matter.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Carmichael.
Speaker, I've indicated our respect. Speaker, I've indicated our respect for the church and our respect for the contractor. The only thing I spoke about is the expenditure of government money. But since, Speaker, I'm so sorry that I touched a raw nerve and I heard Queen's Counsel utter certain words in this place, which you at the expense. I know he never meant to use those words. So, Mr. Speaker, let me just ask him about something else, because the 30 million.
Yeah, I stop first. I don't press no more.
Speaker, let me raise something else, because the 30 million got them a little upset. This report dated February 9th, 2018. Speaker, off Gladstone Road, there's another monument to their folly. A 91% cost overrun on an incomplete, non-operational water treatment plant. Where did the $18.3 million go, Mr. Speaker? Who is responsible for what water and sewage executives referred to, the executives of water and sewage referred to as a stinker? Why were middlemen paid $1.7 million? What water and sewage board referred to as a questionable foundation, I quote, external influences and manipulation, and I quote, that the board was concerned about. Speaker, who overruled the board? To pay unauthorized millions to an ineffective contractor who the board recommended for termination.
Imagine the people we gotta help with that.
Can't blame the church for that, Mr. Speaker.
Hello?
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, the Bahamian people are never going to forget.
Ain't no come to do what I want.
Speaker, the Bahamian people are never going to forget the multi-million-dollar contracts that were signed on the day before election, the 9th of May, 2017. Nor will they forget the scandalous $4 million they paid to a contractor to allegedly prepay interest on one of those so-called PPP agreements that was just referred to. Who prepays interest, Mr. Speaker? $4 million? Mr. Speaker, what about the Barnsley scandals and the fumbling explanations for that folly? Mr. Speaker, what about the millions that were wasted when the high bidder for the contract got the Smiths Point seawall contract? I had to eventually terminate that contractor and hire the competent contractor who had been the low bidder in the first place. Speaker, I heard someone speak about post office. What about the millions that were jeopardized when constructions were started on an ill-advised post office, the Speaker, with no approved plans, no traffic impact study, no site assessment for ground contamination, and no building permit? If that is how they govern, how would they have the moral authority to enforce the law with respect to shanty towns, Mr. Speaker? When under their administration, the government itself broke the law in exactly the same way the squatters do. Mr. Speaker, if they run on their record, if they run on their abysmal record, they will not win a single seat. Speaker, elect them again. The Bahamian people ain't fool. Speaker, let me go on. I was challenged on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I was challenged on Tuesday when my very dear friend, I was challenged on Tuesday. Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I was challenged on Tuesday when my very dear friend, the member for Cat Island, blamed this government for the airport not being constructed in Cat Island. And I had a duty to this parliament to look into the allegations. If he was right, I would have to say so, even though it would make me look incompetent. I instructed my office to look into the matter. The deputy director produced a minute for me, which I will read. I want you to know, sir, the deputy director is an engineer. If an engineer misrepresents anything, he is liable to lose his license. So I want to read the minute, and this is what the minute says. Status of proposed international airport, Dubai, Cat Island, Bahamas. Cabinet by ICN 33-14-10 agreed that the government would guarantee repayment in the amount of $11.5 million to Cat Island Partners money spent towards the development of a new terminal building, including runway and airside facilities, as I captioned. By a letter dated 23rd of March 2016, the Permanent Secretary advised the developer, represented by Alexa Knowles and Co., that the agreement for construction by developers and repayment by the government did not pan out, and the government would construct the facility using its own resources. The project was to be funded by NIB. Availability of funds is to be confirmed. By tender report dated 15th of February 2016, the following design team was approved. The architect studio, architectural Michael Morse Pyramid Industries, mechanical and electrical Roger Lewis, the engineering group, civil and structural engineering, Armin Rami, Veritas Construction Consultants, Quantity Surveying Services, John Michael Clark. Poodle approved funding for the service is $1,174,542.50. Design was substantially completed in April of 2015. Stantec Consulting International Limited was engaged to provide a review of the documents to ensure compliance with the international standards. Land surveying works carried out by Clement Albury was completed in August 2016. A memorandum dated 6 March 2015, Permanent Secretary Colin Higgs advised the Office of the Prime Minister of the need for acquisition of property in the area where the runway encroaches on property owned by Crean Property Limited. This acquisition remains outstanding. Following contractors were approved for tender in June of 2015. Woosley Construction, Larry Trico, Cavalier Construction, Buildex Construction, Brokel Construction, Brunel Kelly, NDC Construction, Nathaniel Blaine, FES Construction, Fetcher Markenkoff. The final cost report dated December 5th, 2015, Veritas Consultant provided a recommended cost of $18,925,758.15, inclusive of custom duties for terminal building and line side works. Approval to sit with the recommended contractor Woosley Construction to agree the price was not received. It's intended that the airside works will be completed as a separate contract. Approved drawings for terminal building and line side works are available for selection and building control. If it is intended to commence the works, there's a need to review the design to ensure completeness and compliance with the latest international standards and the agreed construction price. Mr. Speaker, you have it. And there are several conclusions that come directly from this. First, members' officer did start building the airport. They did start it. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, government does not own the land as required. Government had to compulsorily acquire the land that was needed for the runway. Members' officer knew that from March 2015. Mr. Speaker, I have enlisted the assistance of the Attorney General. Between the two of us, we've come across no evidence whatsoever to suggest that members' officers took any steps whatsoever to acquire the land in the 21 months between August 2015 and the elections in May 2017. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm in the clear. Speaker, I'm in the clear. It wasn't me or this administration. Members' officers dropped the ball in the Cat Island Airport themselves. Speaker. Speaker. I could speak. Speaker. Speaker, my time is going. I could speak.
You can have 2 hours of my time.
Speaker, I could speak about a number of other multi-million-dollar messes that they created by wasting the Bahamian people's money. But I promise to be positive in this debate. Besides dwelling on their follies will only depress us. And if I waste time answering false allegations, I will be falling into their trap. So, Mr. Speaker, let me move on to positive news. Inagua School. Speaker, I wish to advise at the very outset that we propose to begin construction of the new art school in Inagua this year. 9 years ago, the FNM government left money in the budget for a new school in Inagua. The PLP punished Inagua, but have no fear, your FNM government cares. We will build that school in Inagua. You see, Inagua, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. I want to talk about building maintenance and construction projects. Government House renovations and restoration. Mr. Speaker, Government House is a neoclassical structure that was built in 1806. Hence, it's more than 200 years old. In 1825, the Oriental Herald described it as the best building of the kind throughout the West Indies. There have been additions and renovations through the years, with the last major renovation in 1940. Obviously, it is long overdue for a complete overhaul if we are to preserve the national treasure. The project commenced in June last year during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and amidst lockdowns and curfews. The project had a completion date of October 2021, which has now been revised to January, February 2022. The contractor is optimistic that there being no other setbacks, that he is able to complete the project by December 31st, 2021, this year. At the height of the construction, about 60 to 80 Bahamians have been employed. And this project has presented many challenges. The decay in Government House is extensive. However, the results of all of our efforts will yield an extensively renovated and restored Government House that will make Bahamians proud. So Nassau, it's all about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Renovations to the Freeport Post Office, Freeport Grand Bahama. The renovations and repairs to the Freeport Post Office began in October 2020. The iconic structure on the Grand Bahama landscape has fallen into disrepair over the years and further impacted by numerous hurricanes, the latest being Hurricane Dorian. To date, the roof has been completely repaired, all windows and doors have been changed to hurricane impact, and the structural works are nearing completion. Outstanding works include, but not limited to, the replacing of all mailboxes, new AC chiller system, new restrooms, kitchenette, and completely new modernized circulation desk. Projected practical completion, September 2020. So Pine Ridge, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be, your post office. Construction of South Andrews All-Purpose Gymnasium. The phase 2 of the construction of the South Andrews All-Purpose Gymnasium began in January 2021. This multi-purpose structure will serve as a hurricane shelter, a gymnasium for various indoor sports and recreation, a center with classrooms for after-school programs, and a fitness center. When completed, it will be the largest gym in the country, Mr. Speaker. To date, the exterior plastering of the building is nearing completion. The metal roof, fire suppression, air-conditioned, ductless electrical lines, and plumbing works are all being installed Mangrove Key in South Andrews. The trenching of the foundation for pump and generator house has begun. Long lead specialty items have been ordered, inclusive of hurricane impact windows and doors. Works are scheduled to be completed by March of next year, at which time I look forward to seeing Mr. Feiswell Forbes and the new MP, Mr. Kenneth Smith, participating prominently in the opening ceremonies. South Andrews, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be.
Your hometown boy.
Renovations to the office of the Prime Minister, Harold de Gregory Complex in Grand Bahama. The Harold de Gregory Complex in Freeport, Grand Bahama, which houses numerous agencies, inclusive of the office of the Prime Minister, received extensive damage brought about by Hurricane Dorian. The roof of the building was severely damaged. Presently, the upper roof of the building is being changed. The lower level roof has already been completed. The ground floor office of the building were also severely damaged due to flooding. Therefore, flood barrier shields will be installed on all entry doors to hopefully prevent such damage in the future. Projected completion date in August of next year. Grand Bahama, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, the proposed renovation and extension of the LPI Fire Services facility. This facility is critical for aviation safety, the construction of which consists of structural interior and exterior repairs designed to withstand higher hurricane impact. The improvements provide expanded male and female dormitory spaces and a truck garage to accommodate the upgrade of the fleet of firefighting vehicles. Scheduled completion is August of this year. A complete modernization of the electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and communication systems are provided for the facility. So Peter Ouden and you other firefighters is about your future, just like Doc said. Andre Rogers Baseball Stadium, what a mess, Mr. Speaker. Members opposite started the stadium like many other projects with unrealistic price estimates. Originally priced at approximately $17 million, the complete stadium will cost almost twice as much. The overall project is approximately.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, you know, prices, contract prices, contract terms are informed by technical advice. A quantity surveyor, the engineers, architecture, and the team within the Ministry of Works. The overruns at that stadium is as a result of their neglect and failure to continue the works as we left it. That's the overrun.
Thank you.
It sat there for almost a year before they even start anything again, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. I'm not talking about overruns, you know. I'm not talking about overruns. I'm talking about things that were just done wrong. I heard someone speak about the direction of the stadium, all kinds of speaker. The list is too long, and I'm trying not to go through that. Right now, the overall project is approximately 60% complete. A number of outstanding civil design matters to be completed, and the contractor is in the process of executing the work required to bring permanent power to the site. Preparation of the field construction has begun. The scoreboard, seating, and stadium lighting have been ordered. Speaker, I just want to say to our upcoming baseball players, all our baseball players, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. The Ragged Island Multipurpose Center. Speaker, the Ragged Island Multipurpose Center is the Prime Minister's dream. It's the most resilient building in the country and should resist winds in excess of 180, 220 miles per hour. The building consists of modern classrooms, several residences for teachers, sporting facilities, and a hurricane shelter. It will be an example of what modern schools in the Family Islands will look like, and is a tribute to the F&M's commitment to providing quality of education for all of our children, no matter where they live. The first phase of the multipurpose center involved the mobilization, demolition, and setting out of the project. The project comprises of a school, teachers' residence, hurricane shelter, and community center. It's designed, as I indicated, to withstand possibly up to 250 miles per hour winds and has a degree of solar power. Speaker, due to the remoteness of the island, the project's mobilization cost was high. Phase 2 of the construction has commenced. So Ragged Island, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, in my budget, there's $3,015,351 for bridge repair and maintenance. There are some carryover projects. Stanley Creek Bridge. Speaker, Stanley Creek is my home. Unlike many who have been in this place, Mr. Speaker, I have ensured that the biggest need in my home community has been met. Speaker, I'm not going to stand in this place and blame anyone else for what I woulda, coulda, or shoulda do for my home. When I had the chance to do it, and I didn't do it. These bridges are the lifeblood of Family Island communities. Without them, people would have had to take the boat to go to work and do their daily chores. That project is nearing completion. The modern new bridge has been completed and opened. The balance of the works include demolition of the old bridge, dredging of the Stanley Creek Channel, and completion of the construction of the concrete culverts along the main road from the Queens Highway into Stanley Creek. Stanley Creek, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, Little Abaco Bridge. Speaker, I'm going all over the country. All over the country, this government is concerned about every bay mill. Speaker, the causeway was constructed under the former administration fell into the water during Hurricane Dorian. We are now building a modern, resilient bridge for the people of Abaco. Construction of the bridge was on target until COVID-19 restrictions delayed the arrival of the bridge manufacturer's construction supervisor from the United Kingdom. It is anticipated that construction will proceed quickly thereon, as all of the materials and equipment for the erection of the bridge have been delivered to Abaco. Prime Minister, after opening bridges in Long Island, Spanish Wells, London Creek, and Stanley Creek, you will soon have another modern, iconic bridge to open in the Family Islands. So Abaco, it's about your future, just like Doc said it. Speaker, I want to just talk about some new projects. Speaker, we're going to initiate some new projects with the funds we have available. First of all, the repairs to Davy Creek and Miller Street bridges in North Andros, which are going to cost up to $500,000. Speaker, every time I travel into Low Sound, I'm in fear. We cross Davy and Miller Street with small bridges that look as though they will collapse anytime. Urgent replacement is required. Low Sound, it's about your future, just like God said. Speaker, there's a similar situation in Staniel Key. The causeway is in poor condition and is suffering severe scouring to the foundations. Urgent repairs required. Staniel Key, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, replacement of the Baritari Causeway and Bridge in number 1 and 2 in Exuma. Exuma, we're looking to spend $5 million for you. Speaker, we started our rejuvenation of Exuma with a new dock in Baritari, which is the gateway to the Keys and is critical to our tourism product. As you enter Baritari, there are insufficient openings in the causeway to allow for the peak flow gradations, and consequently the concrete apron to the approach embankment has been damaged. It's thus proposed to install more openings in the causeway to allow greater water flow under the structure. Baritari, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, new bridge, and that shows you, that shows you that we for all Bahamians. The Speaker, there's a new bridge. We're looking for a new bridge north of Long Island Airport in Long Island, approximately $1 million. So, Mr. Speaker, during storm events, the runway of the Deadman Ski Airport and surrounding areas have severe flooding issues. The current culvert located in the Queens Highway to the north of the airport is inadequately sized for these flood events. And if we're going to build this modern new airport in Long Island, we have to do something about those flooding events. It's proposed to increase drainage capabilities by replacing the culvert with a bridge with a considerably larger opening. It's proposed to commence this project early in 2022. Long Island, it's about your future. Like that Doc said. Speaker, let me speak about ports and docks. There's $621,888 that we have. Stabilization of the Coast Road, Elbow Key, Abaco. Speaker, you heard the member for Central and South Abaco speak about this project, which is now completed. It's prevented Elbow Key from splitting in half, and that was in that condition from he was a child. Retention payments will be made this fiscal year. Elbow Key, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Dredging of the channel between McLeanstown Dock and Sweetingsteed Dock, Grand Bahama. This project involves the maintenance dredging of the route channel between McLeanstown Dock and Sweetingsteed Dock, approximately 28,800 feet. Mr. Speaker, this is a challenge where the school children come from Sweetingsteed, go into Grand Bahama, and have challenges going back to Sweetingsteed, back and forth. The project will cost $370,000. The contractor has been mobilized. Sweetingsteed, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Roxanne, Doc, and Eleuthera. The member for South Eleuthera brought this project to our attention. He's passionate about his community, so we had to do it. Roxanne now has a modern deep water commercial dock with a timber dock being completed as I speak. The works included demolition and removal of existing deteriorating warehouse building, installation of 429 linear feet of sheet piles to the mail boat dock, reclamation of 80-foot wide by 100-foot long seabed, construction of reinforced concrete slab area to the main dock area, with capping beam with roll ramp, dredging of the seabed area in the front of the dock wall, installation of boilers, cleats, fending system, and solar lights in the dock area, construction of a new 12-foot by 200-foot long timber dock, concrete repairs to the concrete approach side walls and slab surfaces within the dock, construction of timber gazebo shed and fish cleaning station. Contract was awarded in sum of $2,834,490.67. The concrete portion of the works were completed. Contractor is currently working on the timber dock, gazebo, and fish cleaning station. Project will, Prime Minister, you have to open another thing at the end of this month. The project should be completed by the end of this month. The project should be completed by the end of this month. And Doc will have another important family island project to open. For those who care about Roxanne, thank. If you care about Roxanne, thank. And remember Roxanne, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, I've committed to the MP for South Eleuthera that the timber docks in JC and Tappan Bay will be rebuilt. Like I said, thank. And I want Tappan Bay. And I want Tappan Bay and James System to remember It's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Mangrove Key, you've been a busy man. Lisbon Creek Dock and Burnt Rock Seawall in Andros. The construction works include removal of existing dock slab and replace a new 8-inch thick reinforced concrete dock slab over the entire facility. Concrete repairs to the concrete bulkhead, dredging of the seabed in the area of the vicinity of the dock, the approach channel, provide marine bowlers, cleats, and fenders to the dock, construction of boat ramp for small boats, construction of seawall to the west of the site due to serious erosion on the road, construction and repair seawall at Burnt Rock due to serious erosion on the road. The contract has been awarded for $2,316,071.52, VAT inclusive. The contractor has been paid a mobilization payment and is awaiting issuance of an environmental clearance certificate to commence work on site. Lisbon Creek is about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, let me speak about a few new projects. Repairs to the Royal Bahamas Defense Base Force ramp on East Bay Street, New Providence, $500,000. The ramp at the Royal Bahamas Defense Force facility on East Bay Street is in poor condition and provides inadequate depth for safe launch of vehicles. It's proposed to replace the existing concrete ramp and undertake dredging in the vicinity. Due to the urgent nature of the project, it is proposed to commence the project in July 2021. I remind our Defense Force officers, Mr. Speaker, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Replacement of portions of the Yamacross seawall and road renovations on Eastern New Providence, $1 million. Existing Yamacross seawall has an insufficient height. We've had overtopping, even during normal weather conditions at high tide. The overtopping causes considerable water and seaweed to be deposited within the road carriageway, creating dangerous driving conditions. It is proposed to increase the height of the wall to provide a wave deflection profile. Excuse me. It may be necessary to provide either concrete step rock revetment or break the incoming waves at critical locations. As part of the project, it is proposed to provide drainage and landscaping to enhance the area, which is popular with locals for recreational activities. Yamacraw is about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Repair to Marshall Road seawall in New Providence, $500,000. The seawall in the Marshall Road area of New Providence. The seawall in the Marshall Road area of New Providence is inadequate, and during storm events, the road floods, causing dangerous driving conditions and flooding to adjacent properties. It's proposed to extend the seawall and also undertake repairs of existing seawalls where necessary. Drainage will also be provided. So Marshall Road, Southern Shores, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Repairs to Murphytown Southside Dock in Abaco, $210,000. During the passage of Hurricane Dorian, the timber deck of the dock was severely damaged. Proposed to replace the dock Murphytown, North Andros, North Abaco. It's about your future, just like God said it would. Repairs to Crown Haven Dock in North Abaco, $135,000. During the passage of Hurricane Dorian, the timber deck of the dock was damaged also, and it's proposed to be repaved the dock area. So Crown Haven, it's about your future, just like God said it would. Speaker, let me just pause here and say, these docks throughout the Family Islands is very important. And it's going to be absolutely critical. Right now, we have a small number of people who specialize in being able to do this type of work. It's going to be absolutely critical for more of our people to be able to apprentice, to train to do this work. It is not something, when you look at it, you think an ordinary carpenter can do it. You can't. It needs very specialist skills. So I'm encouraging Bahamians that this is an area that they can look at that they can do well professionally because we have docks that are the livelihood of our family island communities. Lord Andrews, you again. Repairs to Low Sound, Red Bays, Nicholstown, and Conch Sound docks in North Andrews, $950,000. Those timber docks in Low Sound, Red Bays, Nicholstown, and Conch Sound have been damaged for many years. Their replacement and repairs long overdue. So Low Sound, Red Bays, Nicholstown, and Conch Sound, it's about your future, just like yours. Repairs to Bullock's Harbor dock in the Berry Islands. Don't get greedy now, Lord Andrews. You're getting everything. Repairs to Bullock's Harbor dock. Repairs to Bullock's Harbor dock in the Berry Islands.
You know, Andrews fellas love Andrews, you know.
The main mailboat dock.
Fellas retire in here.
The main mailboat dock in Berry Islands is in poor condition with no roll-on, roll-off ramp, and access is restricted due to the inadequate depth of the approach channel. It's proposed to undertake major upgrades to the facility with the provision of the ro-ro ramp, new sheet pile wall bulkhead, reinforced concrete slab, provision of bollard fenders, and undertake the dredging of the vicinity of the dock. Yes, Berry Islands, this is in addition to your new airport. So it's about your future, Berry Islands, just like Doc said it. Construction of dock in Black Point and the Exuma Keys, $2,500,000. The main mailboat dock in Black Point is constructed of timber, as in poor condition, and there's a high risk of collapse. It's proposed to construct a concrete pile dock. Also provided will be a ro-ro ramp with new timber docks for the use of locals and tourists. Once again, Black Point, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Repair of Graham Harbor Dock and Coburn Dock in San Salvador. San Salvador, $2,500,000. The docks in San Salvador are in poor condition, and upgrades are required to provide facilities that are adequate for the mailboat service that provide vital supplies to the islands in San Salvador. The San Salvador, it's about your future, just like Doc said.
Right there.
Speaker, I just want to talk a little bit about some roads. It's alleged that we're not doing anything about roads. There's $20,831,115 for roads. I'll start with the Long Island Road Repairs and Carriageway Rehabilitation Project. Rehabilitation repairs of approximately 5 miles of road in central North Long Island from the airport to steamers and various sections of the south. The cost of the project is $4.3 million, and the works have commenced. Speaker, it is important for us to appreciate that asphalt roads take much longer than sand seal roads, which we're accustomed to in the Family Islands. So I ask Long Island for patience. You will soon have the highest quality roads possible as you prepare for the construction of your brand new airport. So yes, Long Island, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Eleuthera Road Repairs and Carriageway Rehabilitation Project. Reconstruction of 15 miles of roads and various sections of the Queens Highway across the island in hot mix asphalt. And the Speaker, one of the good things about this project is that we have contractors, 4 major contractors, who have purchased brand new asphalt plants to work throughout the Family Islands. And this bodes well for what we're going to do in the Family Islands in the years to come. The project in Eleuthera cost $11.1 million. It is 75% complete, and I heard the member for South Eleuthera speak about how people are skidding over it, sliding over it, flying over it. So once again, Eleuthera, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Abaco Seawall and Carriageway Rehabilitation Works. Works include construction. Speaker, do I have more time? Okay,
Yes, honorable member.
thank you. The works include construction of approximately 1,500 feet of concrete gravity retaining wall with 4-foot wide concrete slab walkway adjacent to steel wall. Scarifying or milling of the existing damaged road surface and the highway and replacing with a double sand seal layer where applicable. The contract is $1.27 million and the works are approximately 50% completed. And Mr. Speaker, I heard the member from North Abaco talk about a fish fry out there, developing that, and I look forward to seeing that come to fruition. So Abaco, once again, it's about your future, just like Doc said it was.
Honorable member, because of the interruptions, 5 minutes.
Could I beg you for 10, Mr. Speaker?
Honorable member, I'd give you 7 since some of your members contributed. we know about contributory negligence, right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
7 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Black Point Exuma road repairs. Those road repairs are well underway. $1.5 million, substantially complete. Black Point again, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Exuma, we're preparing 10 miles of road rehabilitation from the airport to the town center in asphalt. The project is $8.4 million with a duration of 12 months. Exuma, once again, is about your future. Tappan Bay, road repairs within the settlement, $800,000. And we've also right now scoping Governor's Harbor and Hatchet Bay and Sand Seal. Mr. Speaker, Governor's Harbor, Hatchet Bay, Tappan Bay, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Harbor Island, roads in Harbor Island, P-Rock and Sand Seal, $2.7 million. The contractor has already started. I'm looking to come to Harbor Island. Mr. Speaker, Harbor Island, Harbor Island, it's about your future, just like Doc said it was. Grand Bahama, reconstruction of approximately 8 miles of road in hot mix asphalt, $6.1 million, 30% completed. Grand Bahama, once again, it's about your future, just like Doc said it was. Design of Gladstone Road Improvement Project, John F. Kennedy to Carmichael Road. Gladstone Road, we are going to put in, we're doing the studies now to be able to have dual carriageways there. 4 12-foot travel lanes, 2 in each direction. We are 60% completed with the design. So Carmichael, Tall Pines, Southern Shores, Golden Isles, it's about your future. Just like Doc said. The Twin Lakes. The Twin Lakes. I come with you, Angliston. The Speaker, Angliston knows that she is going to be well taken care of because she knows that Angliston is going to be well taken care of. And I'm saying that publicly right here. Twin Lakes subdivision, $692,000, substantially completed. Yes, Kalani, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Village Road project, $7.141 million. Speaker, Village Road badly needs that, badly. There's so much to be done there. So New Providence, Eastern New Providence, it's about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Windsor Field Road and Airport Industrial Park intersection, we're gonna widen that into a turning lane. The Western New Providence is about your future, just like Doc said it would be. Speaker, Great Harbor Key Terminal, I'm going on to airports. Great Harbor Key Terminal is 75% completed. Doc, you're gonna have to open an airport by October of this year. Great Harbor Key, you're getting the air side and the land side. The air side, one side will be finished by October of this year, and Great Harbor Key, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Bimini Airport, $5.6 million on the runway with a duration of 9 months. Bimini, it's about your future, just like Doc said. I would get killed if I didn't mention the Long Island Airport, which is out to tender, like the minister said. Estimated cost of $10 million. Long Island, it's about your future, just like Doc said. Speaker, the airport in Exuma has been tendered, and the next airport will be the one in North Eleuthera. Mr. Speaker, I didn't get to speak about the glass window bridge, the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, traffic control management system. And Mr. Speaker, I have a list of a little over 2,500 projects. 2,501 projects that the Ministry of Works did in the last 4 years that I am going to table. Average of over 600 projects a year. Speaker, let me close by giving thanks to my friend, the Big Fisherman, AKA the member for Garden Hills, who has served well in many capacities, education, road traffic, and the public service. We owe you much as to tens of thousands of Bahamians. It's my honor to wish all fathers and fathers in this honorable house throughout our beautiful country a blessed Father's Day. This will be my first Father's Day where I can't actually touch my father. However, I am grateful that I had a real father who made a positive difference in the lives of his children. He and my mother were my two heroes. And he hoped that men will step forward and be fathers to their children, not mere sperm donors. So on a personal level, I'm grateful that my father had a long life, was blessed with it. I'm grateful that he touched so many lives, taught so many thousands of children, and was an exemplary example. Knowing him right now, Mr. Speaker, he's there lecturing the angels on deportment. Speaker, the opportunity to serve as Deputy Prime Minister has been a tremendous honor. I'm grateful that the Prime Minister appointed me to serve in his cabinet and his deputy. I look forward to the opportunity to serve in some capacity in the second minister's administration. And I'm honored to confirm that Carmichael supports this budget.
Thank you very much, honorable member. Honorable member for Carmichael. Honorable member for Carmichael. You indicated that you had some documents to table. Do you wish to do it now?
Speaker, I will table the by some error when I did the final draft of my contribution this morning, a number of three of the attachments were left out. I have the fourth annex, which is the 2,501 projects. I'd like to table that, and I'd like to respectfully ask your permission to table the other three on Monday.
Yes.
I'd be grateful if you'd give me that permission, sir.
Granted. Order that the documents be brought up.
2,501.
Order that the document do lie on the table. As many? Oh. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Englishton.
Thank you, Speaker. I was listening to the members' contribution and the many, many contracts that have been issued throughout the length and breadth of the country. And I think I remember this member when he gave, I think his first contribution to this House, he spoke former Minister of Works, giving out contracts in $20 million without going through competitive tender. And this was the works of the nation. And like, of course, you would have recalled, Mr. Speaker, I laid a report, report from the former procurement officer by IDB. Yes, you can deal with it, where he indicates the government has not been complying. And so I'm wondering the minister, if he's prepared to advise whether all these multitude of contracts that have been given out through all the country, throughout the entire country, whether they have gone through the processes they've established for transparency, whether there's been competitive bids. If he could just enlighten us on the matter, please.
Chair recognizes the honorable member for comment.
Kalani.
Speaker, I want to say to the member for Angleton that I don't do anything contrary to the law. Thank you very much, sir.
As many?
Was competitive bids, then is that what he's saying? I'm just wondering what that means. No, people, I'd like the assertion on the record so that when the time comes, we will know what we're dealing with. I'm wondering if the member can put it on the record so that we will know what the facts are. No, he did not.
Honorable member for Michael, are you prepared to expand your
So you
statement?
did it, that's all.
The law does not require every contract to be competitively bid. And that is what I said, because I referred to certain contracts. There, Mr. Speaker,
Yeah, it was different.
there are a number of lawyers in here.
Honorable
There are two
member,
on the other side. I'm sure they know exactly what the law says, and that's why I answered the way that I answered. Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure what it says. I think the member is saying that where it was required, that he did so. Is that what the member is saying? No, where it was required.
as many?
No, he said what he said, not you.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Kalani. Honorable member, just before you,
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker.
huh?
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't call on you, honorable member. Now, I just wanted to do something before we wrap up. I want to take you back 50 years. I don't know if you all might remember.
We got a dog on beat now. We're gonna call our very own. Nassau rock and Nassau road. Nassau's got
Honorable members, I just thought I think some of us may remember that, but that was one of the greatest hits and greatest promotional and cultural song in Bahamian history. And today, the 17th of June marks 50 years since the release of that song by the beginning of the end. And it also happens to be the 100th birthday of the late Freddie Munnings Sr., the father of the lead singer for the beginning of the end, Raphael Munnings. And I just want to let you know that something good can come out of Nassau Village, because the lead singer of the beginning of the end and his wife Wendy, as well as Raphael Munnings II, are constituents of the Nassau Village constituency. And I think they ought to be congratulated for the contribution. We can never thank our cultural icons enough for the immeasurable contribution that they give to our country. As a matter of fact, just before, as a matter of fact, you know, it's amazing in the musical industry. They are still releasing albums of the greatest hits of the 70s. And this song is being re-released as the greatest hits, one of the greatest hits of the 70s on the international market. And I think that re-establishes the Bahamas again. So every member is excused for getting a little bit funky today. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Southern Shores.
Stay in the spirit, said George. Mr. Speaker, prior to the luncheon break this morning, I indicated that we needed to take a break because after the contribution of the good member for Bamboo, the press, the media would have needed additional time to get those stories out. In light of what we've just had, the press is going to need the entire weekend. So I move that the business of this House suspends until Monday morning, the 21st of June, 2021 at 10 a.m. when the good member for Kalani will wrap up this budget debate.
Second.
Honorable members, on the motion, I will extend an opportunity. We cannot forget our fathers going into this weekend. So I'll extend an opportunity for members who wish to do so to extend a happy Father's Day, or I can do it on behalf of all of members. I always like the message that my father gave me on Sundays in Great Inagua, as we assemble as a family. He would always say to us, the boys in particular, don't look at your sisters too much because their names will change. But you boys, you would always be Moultries. Never let it be said that a Moultrie had the bag. And he, like the good book says, went about his chores in making and providing for all of us, girls and boys. And I could see from the persons assembled here today, I feel almost 100% assured that our fathers played a major role in us achieving the goals that we have achieved today. And of course, there can be no fathers without a mother. And so on Father's Day and Mother's Day, I always extend best wishes and greetings and tributes to both mothers and fathers. So on behalf of all of the members of Parliament, I extend a happy Father's Day to the fathers of all the members of Parliament and to all of our constituents throughout the archipelago of the Bahamas, the 39 constituencies represented here today. On behalf of all of us, have a happy Father's Day. And ladies, mothers, lighten up a little bit on the crab and rice and find something more substantive to give us. Thank you so much. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended to 10 a.m. Monday, the 21st of June. As many members that are in favor will remain seated, those who oppose will stand. The business of this House stands suspended until 10 a.m. Monday, the 21st of June.